I've had the same push stick for years. Not multiple sticks of the same design, I've had the exact same push stick for years. See, I came up with a pretty nifty design that enables me to keep using the same push stick even after it inevitably gets chewed up on the saw over time. And now, I want to create a handful of really nice ones to hand out as gifts to friends and viewers down at WorkbenchCon. I start off by dimensioning down some ash, some bird's eye maple, and some mahogany. And then I printed off my template a bunch of times, and then cut out the shape for about a half a dozen push sticks. And with all of them cut out, I could use some craft adhesive and stick them right down onto the boards in a way where I could get about 2 per piece. And then it was over to the bandsaw to cut each one out. Now if you're doing this, don't worry if your cuts are a little bit wonky during this step. We can clean things up in just a bit. Next, I put the stick up against the fence of the miter saw and nip off the back side. Then, with a flat backside, I can clamp it in place on my crosscut sled and trim the bottom. And now it was just a matter of smoothing things out over at the spindle sander and removing the bandsaw marks. So I wanted to personalize a couple of these by engraving my friends' logos into the sides, and I figured the X-carve would make pretty quick work of it. I measured out the size of each logo and found just the right starting position, moved the bit to that location, and kicked off the carve. Once I finished the first one, I inspected things and it looked good, so I fired off the next. And with that one turning out well too, I went ahead and I put my logo on the rest. And then my podcast logo on the other side. And while that was carving, I spent some time honing my expert whittling skills and then sanded the lead down into a pile of dust. I squirted out a bunch of 5-minute epoxy and then mixed in just a tiny bit of the graphite shavings to give it a dark color. Then with my mixing stick, I dabbed down the epoxy into the logo and made sure it got down into all the cracks. Now, scientific studies have shown that 5-minute epoxy starts to set in about 5 minutes. So, if you're not quick and the epoxy isn't viscous enough, the bubbles down within the cracks won't rise to the surface and pop, and you'll be left with little gray circles when you sand things flush. Not that this happened to me, I'm a professional after all. But otherwise, you can use a blowtorch to pop the bubbles that are on top. So after things have fully cured overnight, it's time for the big reveal. I slap on some 120 grit and sand things lightly so that I don't accidentally go too deep and sand off part of the logo. Next I did the back side. And I did this for all 6 of them. I used a 1/8 inch roundover bit in the router to soften the edges of the top and the handle, but I left the bottom and the back square. Also, I made sure to use the dullest bit I could find so that it would burn the crap out of things and make it so I'd have to spend the next couple hours sanding. Now I could rip down the pieces that I'll use for the bases. And since these are going to be gifts, I wanted them to look pretty sharp, so I chose walnut. And then over at the miter saw, I could cut them each to length. So another reason why I shaped it the way I did is so that you could easily have 2 clamping surfaces when attaching the bases onto the push stick. I spread some glue, add a little salt for flavor, make sure the back edge is square, and then put on 2 clamps to hold it tight while drying. And when it was all dry, I could pop it out of the clamps and use my crosscut sled to cut in a bird's mouth into the tip. I don't often use bird's mouth style push sticks, but I know some people swear by them, so I wanted to at least incorporate it into my design as well. Just a few passes on the saw and that's done. And now I can cut out the tiny walnut catch. Now the reason why the back of the push stick curves upwards is so that you can easily fit in a spring clamp to attach the new catch block. The catch blocks on my push stick always seem to get chewed up first, and this allows me to pop off the old one and glue on a new one very easily. To make it a bit more visually appealing and friendly to the touch, I added a small chamfer to some of the edges with a sanding block. This also makes it much more aerodynamic for when you whip it across your shop after screwing up a cut. And as a nod to one of the inside jokes of the podcast, I added another small engraving into the base of each push stick. Several coats of Danish oil offers a little protection, allows the true color of the wood to reveal itself, and really makes the grain pop. Everything looks and smells better with a bit of Danish oil. In fact, I've added Danish oil to my morning routine and can definitely say it's not meant to be worn as a cologne. So if you're anything like me, after you use a push stick for a while, the base and the back catch get all chewed up from running things over the saw. But the beauty of this design lets you reuse the same stick over and over again. Since the back is square, just clamp it down onto your crosscut sled, clean off the bottom edge, and glue on a new catch. Easy as that. And now you've got a brand new push stick. Over time, you might need to glue on a new base, but the 2 clamping locations make that very easy to do as well. Alright, now I'm going to head down south to WorkbenchCon 2019 and give these out. Let's do it.
Ooh.
Sweet. Unnecessary. Walnut
Unnecessary.
Is very necessary. It should always be there.
You like that?
Yes, I do.
All right, cool. Good.
Yeah, no. Recognize the walnut, and then you said that was mahogany.
That's mahogany. Yeah.
Looks nice.
Here's yours.
Oh, dang.
How do you like that bird's eye?
That's nice.
Isn't that? Turned out really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I guess I thought you were doing these separate.
Oh, no.
It's just the back side
On each
of it.
side, yeah.
I don't know how things work. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I met some great folks down there and had a lot of fun handing out the rest of them to fans of the channel. So yeah, the shape of the push stick gives you a very comfortable angle that doesn't cramp up your wrist, and it gives forward hold down pressure on the workpiece. And it's completely reusable after things get chewed up over time. This is definitely my favorite push stick, and if you like it too, then go ahead and download the free template using the link in the video description. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, give me a like and a comment below, and if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. I think you'll really like the videos here. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
That was exciting. Nuts.
Then with my mixing stick, I dabbed on the epoxy into the logo and made sure it got down all the way.